Tov Gudvach, we are on the bottom of Chaf Hey Amud Aleph 25a3. We are going to talk about the Gimel Chamuros, the three cardinal sins. So let's begin. Ki Asa Ravin Amar Yochanan. When Ravin came from Israel, from Eretz Israel to Bavel, he brought the following teaching from his teacher, Rav Yochanan. Bakom Misrapin. If a person is deathly ill, a person is in a situation where they are going to, heaven forbid, die unless they heal themselves using different things. So anything, even if it means like the doctor says, the only way you're going to heal is by eating a hamburger with cheese, etc., etc., etc. No problem, you can do that. Chutz, with the exception of three things: avodah zarah, gilui arais, u'shvichas damim, from idolatry, adultery, and murder. Those are three things that cannot be done, even if it means saving your life. Okay, the Gemara is now going to bring the sources for all these things. Avodah zarah had amran. Avodah zarah, the source for that is that we mentioned yesterday. B'chol nafshecha, it says love God, and the greatest expression of God, of love of God, is the fact that we're connected to Him and not to others, i.e., don't serve idols. And it says love God b'chol nafshecha, with your soul. That means that if it comes down to a question of loving God or dying, you must die to maintain your love to God, and therefore you cannot serve idols. That's from b'chol nafshecha. Gilui arais u'shvichas damim. What is the source for any form of illicit relationship or murder? The time is taught in the Brisa, Rabbi Omer, ki kasher yakum isha re'eu utzacho nefesh kena davar zeh. The Torah, in talking about a nara murasa. Nara murasa is a woman who is engaged. Engaged, not like modern engagement means someone got down on a knee and said, let's get married, which is just a commitment, which is important, but it's not halachically significant, as opposed to kiddushin, which is the first step of marriage. So a woman is engaged, and the Torah, this week's parsha actually, we read today, speaks about a scenario where someone violates this woman, rapes this woman. And the Torah talks about the punishment for this man, and it also says in the context for like a man who rises up against his fellow and murders him, so is this thing. It says like this thing, rape, is like murder. Okay, so the Gemara wants to understand, why does the Torah have to say that? Just say the punishment is death, what he's doing is bad, like that's all normally has to do. It's like it's like murder. What's that all about? It's coming clearly to teach us something, but it also ends up learning something to itself. Okay, meaning it's clearly coming to teach us some halachos, some law relevant to Namarasa, and at the same time, Rasa, this case of this betrothed woman, this engaged woman, it's going to teach something about to murder. So what is that? There's this juxtaposition, this connection rather, between this woman who's engaged and murderer. Just as when it comes to this woman, if a person sees a woman who is engaged, about to be raped, then you are allowed to kill that person, the rapist. The Torah says that there's no one available to save her, implying that if someone is able to save her, then you have to save her no matter what it entails, even if it means killing the rapist. So too, in the case of this would-be murderer, you are allowed to kill him to prevent the murderer from killing. Okay, so that's something we're learning from Namarasa, from the engaged woman, to the case of Rotzech. The Namarasa Merotzech, we're also going to learn something from the betrothed woman, this engaged woman, from the laws of murderers. Just as it is so, then in the case of murder, it is better to get killed than to murder, as we're about to show the source of that in a moment. So, so too with this, any scenario where there is an illicit relationship. Let's say a man were to come over to this woman and say, either be intimate with me or I will kill you. She must die before engaging in a forbidden relationship, and the same would be true for all forbidden relationships. Both a man and a woman would not be allowed to engage in it. It would be better to die. Okay, what's the source for not murdering? In other words, a person comes to you and says, either I will kill you or you must kill that person. You must die. Svarhu, the Gemara says, is based on logic. Yehuda made a Rava Amrle. There's a person who came in front of Rava and said, Mara Durai Amrli. The governor of my town said to me, Zil Katli Leplania, go kill so and so. V'ilo Katlina Lecha, and if not, I will kill you. Amrle, Rava said to him, Liktaluch, better you get killed. V'tiktal, not instead of killing. Why? My chaz damadei sumaktve, who says your blood is redder than his blood. Dimla damada hu gavra sumaktve. Maybe his blood is more red than your blood. In other words, that means we have no way of assessing the value of life, and therefore it is better to be passive. We do not do anything. We remain passive, better than murdering someone else. This goes to the extreme, by the way. I just point out, the Gemara in Sanhedrin says that if, let's say, you have people come to siege a Jewish city, and they say, send out Reuven, and we will not attack and kill you. But if you don't send Reuven, we're going to come and attack the whole city. If Reuven is guilty of a crime, Jewish crime, civil crime, and then we would send him out and he would get killed. But if Reuven is an innocent person, they just don't like Reuven, and they're just picking on Reuven, then we would not be allowed to send him out. It would be usher d'oraisa. It would be usher. We'd be killing, an active killing. So we don't actively kill someone. We'd rather we stay passive because we can't make assessments of one life over the other. Okay, and that's that extreme. Okay, Ma Ravashi Ashkele Ravina. Ma Ravashi once found Ravina, the Shayfle Levrate Beguharke de Arla, who was rubbing his daughter for medicinal purposes with the oil, but olives, that was from underdeveloped olives, okay? But there were arla. Arla is something which is asr bahana. You're not allowed to benefit from it. Amarle. So Mar Ravashi said to him, Amar Damar Rabbanan b'shas kana. When did the rabbi say that you're allowed to use you're allowed to use prohibited items when there's a life-threatening situation. But if it's not a life-threatening situation, who said you're allowed to go ahead and you can't use something just right now? In other words, we started off today's Gemara by saying that in a situation where a person's life-threatening situation, doctor says, eat a hamburger, okay, you eat a cheeseburger, you eat the cheeseburger. But in a situation where it's not life-threatening, what are you doing over here? Why are you using orla, which is forbidden? So Amar Le, Ravina said to him, Hi Ishta Timirsa Nami Kishas Kanadami. He says, first of all, this burning fever is actually like a life-threatening situation, right? It's important to keep in mind. Sometimes people say, right now it's not life-threatening, but yeah, but there are certain things which could lead to a life-threatening situation. That's also life-threatening situation, and therefore he says you are allowed to use orla because it is life-threatening. Ikad Amri. Alternatively, Amar Le, Ravina said to Ravina, another version of what actually he said back to him, Midi derech hanaka vina. Am I acting in the normal manner of deriving benefit from olive oil? No, I'm using it in an unusual manner, and therefore it is permitted. So what does that mean? The different interpretations, but we'll go with the, I guess, more straightforward one, and that is that what he is answering, he says that since I am using this in an abnormal fashion, why is it abnormal? Because it's underdeveloped olives. It's usually they wait till the olives are fully processed, and this is underdeveloped and not fully ripe, and therefore it's not the normal fashion, and therefore if it's not the normal fashion, it's only asur midrabanan, and the rabbis only forbade it in a situation where, but the rabbis permitted it, in a situation where there is an illness, even if it's not a life-threatening situation, right? So there are different categories of illness. We have you have a little headache, you have deathly ill, and then there's things in the middle. So there are different halachos for each thing, okay? So when a person, we're in the middle category according to this version, and Ravashi and Ravina is saying, listen, this is only rabbinically prohibited because I'm doing it in an abnormal fashion, and since my daughter is ill, granted it's not life-threatening, but she's ill, therefore I'm allowed to do this. Okay, it's smart. Now we get into a very interesting discussion. Let's start. We're talking about a case where a person gets benefit from something, not willfully. Okay, so I'll give you the example. The Rishon I'm giving over here is, let's say a person's walking down a street, and there's idols. It's a temple. Okay, it's a temple, and they have incense. So back in the day, you used to walk by Abercrombie and Fitch, and they would blow out perfume from the store. So similarly over here, you're walking by the shrine, and they're blowing out incense. Okay, it's idolatrous incense. You're not allowed to benefit from it. Okay, so Abai says you're allowed to benefit from this smell. Rava says you are not allowed to. The Gemara is going to explain what exactly we're talking about. Let's say you're talking about a case where it's feasible for a person to avoid this. In other words, let's say there's two streets. There's Shrine Street and there's not Shrine Street, okay? So you're able to avoid it, and not only do you not avoid it, but you walk down the street and you intend to take amazing, okay? Or a situation where it's not feasible for the person to avoid this, but still, so there's only Shrine Street, and the only way to get to your destination is go down Shrine Street, and you are intending to benefit from it, everyone agrees that it is forbidden. Let's say it's a situation where it is not feasible to go another way, and you're not intending to benefit from it. In other words, there's only Shrine Street, and you walk down, and you're not trying to breathe. You're just going like this, and you're not trying to breathe. Everyone would say that it's permitted. What exactly are Abai and Rabbi talking about in the following case? The Efshar of Lok Mechamin. There are two streets. There is Shrine Street and non-Shrine Street. And you are walking down the street and you're not trying to take it in. According to Yehuda, remember in Mesech Shams we had a debate between Yehuda and Shimon. And now Darash Maskavin. What was the case? The case was a bench. And you're dragging the bench down on the yard, and what it's doing is it's actually digging up the ground, and in doing so, it's actually a form of plowing. So Rabbi Yehuda said, even though you're not intending to plow, you're just trying to move the bench, nonetheless it is asur. So he said, according to Yehuda, according to Yehuda, everyone would agree that in this situation, even though you're not intending to smell it, it's still going to be asur. Okay? Kipli, what do they argue about? To leave Rav Shimon, according to Rav Shimon. Rav Shimon was the one who holds, which is, by the way we paskin, that is something which is not intentioned, a person doesn't have intention to do something, it is going to be permitted. So Abai, Rav Shimon, Abai who says that the guy walking down the street is not intending to smell it, he's allowed to walk down the street, and if he gets some smell coming through his mouth, okay, that's fine. Okay, and through his nose, it's fine. However, Rava who said that it is forbidden to walk down the street, he said, even according to Rav Shimon agreed to me. Why? When did Rav Shimon say you're allowed to move a bench? Rava tells us something very interesting. Rava says the only time Rav Shimon said you're allowed to move the bench is if it's a really heavy bench. Why? Because a heavy bench, it's very hard to carry. So it's almost like it's impossible to move this bench. So there he said, okay, if it's a heavy bench, you're allowed to drag it, and you're not going to be liable since you didn't have intention. But let's say you're just carrying a chair, which wasn't so heavy, you're not allowed to drag it according to Rav Shimon, he says. Because efshar, it's possible to do something else, i.e., pick it up. So therefore he's saying, similarly over here, he's saying Rav Shimon would agree, in our case, since it's possible to walk down a different street, granted, you're not intending, but still, you could have walked down a different street, therefore, it is going to be since it's efshar, since it's possible to go down the streets, like picking up like a light chair, you could have picked it up. Rav Shimon, he says, would not agree. Rav Shimon would say you're not allowed to drag it, and similarly over here, Rav Shimon would say it's asur to benefit from that from the smell. Ikidamri, there's another version of our understanding of this. Efshar v'lo mekavin. Now we have a new way of understanding it. Efshar v'lo mekavin. If it's possible for a person to go down a different street, meaning there's a Shrine Street and a non-Shrine Street, person able to go into each one. V'lo mekavin, and he's not intending to benefit. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon. That is exactly what Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon are arguing about. Okay, lo efshel lo kamechavin. Let's say it's not possible to avoid the activity, and the person doesn't have an intention. Okay, kuli am shari. Everyone agreed it's permitted. In other words, if there's only shrine streets and you're not intending, everyone says mutter. Ki pligi, when they argue, de lo efshar, there's only shrine streets, v'kamechavin, and the person's having intention. V'alibed Rav Shimon. Okay, so according to Rav Shimon, the azla basar kavana, who goes with kavana, who says it's all about intention. Kuli am pligi de aser. Now we're saying something we're flipping it. Rav Shimon was the one who said that if you don't have intention, you're not going to be chayiv. So what do you see from Rav Shimon? That intention is very important. And therefore, on the streets where you don't have, it's the only street you can walk down, and you're having intention, of course Rav Shimon would say you're chayiv, because he holds kavana is everything. Okay, and therefore he'd say you're asar. Ki pligi, when do they disagree? When does Abai and Rabbi disagree? I'll leave it to Rabbi Yehuda. According to Rabbi Yehuda, Amar lo shna miskavin, v'lo shna shnei miskavin. Rabbi Yehuda was the one who said that when you carry the bench, it doesn't matter if you have intention or not. So we see he doesn't care about intention. So efshar asar, if there's another way of going, then for sure you can't go down the shrine street. Abai Rabbi Yehuda, Abai would say, like Rabbi Yehuda, Abai Rabbi Yehuda, Abai is like Rabbi Yehuda. So, excuse me. In a situation where there is another possible way of going, we would say it's forbidden. But in a situation where there is, again, sorry, 1 second, right, so we're talking. So in a situation where it is not possible to go down another street, okay. So Abai Rabbi Yehuda, if it's not possible to go down another street, the only street you go down, and you are having intention. So Abai says like Rabbi Yehuda, okay. So in this case, you intended to do so, and he'd say it is permitted because according to our interpretation now, Rabbi Yehuda doesn't care about intention, and since because he holds Amr Miskavin is aser, and you see from there the intention, not intention, is meaningless. He completely ignores intention, and therefore in this case, since it's the only street I could go down, there's only shrine streets. Therefore, even though I'm intending to benefit from it, it's mutter because intention is meaningless. V'Rava Amar Lecha, Rava would say, no. Even Rabbi Yehuda agreed to me. Why? Because Ad Kan Lamar Rabbi Yehuda She'em Miskavin El Chumra. He says, when did Rabbi Yehuda say that even though I didn't have intention, it's as if I had intention? That's a stringency. In other words, I'm dragging the bench. I'm not having intention to plow because I'm just trying to move a bench. Right there, we say, I don't care that you didn't have intention. It's like you had intention. That's a stringency. But he never said that we ignore intention as a leniency, like over here when a person's walking down the street and he's intending, we say, oh, intention is meaningless. No. Rav Yehuda said intention is not important as a way of a stringency, saying that even you don't try, like Rav Shimon does, to say that I don't intend and therefore it's mutter. Rav Yehuda says, no, that's not a mitigating factor. But if a person is actively having intention, how do we know that Rav Yehuda would say you are going to be, that it's mutter? He says, no, Rav Yehuda would agree that in a situation, even though I'm forced to go down the street, if I'm intending to benefit from it, I would be chayiv as well, and that is the second version. And tomorrow we're gonna find the sources for this for both Abai and Rava in the second version. Have a great day. Good luck. Shabbat tov.